Welcome back. Starting in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back. It's been a minute. Been a hot minute. It's been what, 3 months? 2 months? 2.5 months? Almost 3 months. Um, yeah. So this is the third video of the AARVIS series. Feel free to check the other ones out. I mean, the first video, is a overview on AARVIS. All the phases, what AARVIS is. What he accomplishes, the purpose of AARVIS. And then the second video was phase two. It was like post phase two, and there was an in-depth overview on phase two and a little bit of phase three, I believe, and like a live demo, a very short, small live demo. Feel free to check those out. They'll be linked below. Pretty interesting. I think they're not too tough of a watch. Yeah. So, and this video is showing a lot of what phase three accomplished. Phase three was massive. It was like really tough. It took me a lot longer than I expected just because of the sheer amount of like work, and I also added a ton of steps along the way just because building it, I realized, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be fixed. All right, speaking of phase three, let's recap. So phase three, I mentioned this before. I think I touched on a lot of it actually. But phase three was the UI and brain connection. So, phase one was all the logic scripts, the memory, the pipeline, the AARVIS brain, if you will. And then phase two was the static UI. So, the UI. And then phase three was the UI and brain connection. So phase three established the thinking pipeline. Here, I wrote it down. So, I'll show all this later. So first, you see this? Yeah. So you have, where is my pen? Thinking pipeline, right? So first it's me, and then it goes to the UI, and then the UI goes to the AARVIS API, and then the AARVIS API goes to the brain, that says brain, and then the brain goes to the vault, and then the vault goes to the response. Thinking pipeline. That's what phase three established. So, that's the thinking pipeline. Now, every message now finally scans the memory, the brain, the vault, the logs, everything. I mean, in a nutshell, that's what phase three accomplished. And,
Sir,
it took,
just show them already.
yeah. Yeah, let me show you. Let's get into it. So, honestly, that's what this video is. It's showing you what's been accomplished. All right, just give me one quick second here. Whoops. That's not what we want. Okay. All right, here's AARVIS. I mean, you've seen him, nothing new. Well, not yet, but so, phase, I've already kind of showed the UI, like, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? Like, you can kind of see everything here. All right, so let's show it. All right, so first of all, I'll show everything, but let's just start with, something super basic. Yeah, okay, I'm just gonna ask. Okay, also, all these messages are like bullshit because I'm on a different profile just because I don't want to show all my actual conversation history. So these are all like literally test messages. Okay, let's just start with something small, something super simple, nothing crazy. Who are you? As you can see, responding, that's been there. So when he's responding, it shows he's responding. And then once he responds, it goes back to online. Wow, he's taking a hot minute. AARVIS, standing by, sir. Nothing crazy. Like I mentioned before, double click on a message, kind of centers it so you can, focus on that message. Nothing too crazy. And then also if I could hold control and then click the message, it copies it. I can copy all these. Pretty sick. All right, so yeah, something simple. All right, so now here's the new stuff. So first of all, more messages in thread history. So I also add this little scroll bar, pretty useful. Right now the UI loads 25 messages at a time. So 25 of mine, 25 of Arvis. That's just so it like stays smooth and like if you use ChatGPT or Claude or any other, AI thing, as you type and type and type, the chat gets laggy as hell just because there's so many tokens and, chats that you're opening. More messages. So right now, like I said, 25 messages per time, but if we click more messages, it loads the previous 25. So every single message that I send is always kept. That's the thing. That's like one of the main features about Arvis is it's in a limited chat, unlimited memory, and whatnot. So that's new. More messages is that they all keep. And if I scroll past it, as you can see, it unloads it there. Here, let's refresh. It unloads it. So once I'm done, click it, and then we can. If we scroll past it, it unloads it. That's new. And also pinned is also very, very new. Pinning. So first of all, right click a message, you can pin it, and it shows up in the pin dashboard. Here, let's say I want to pin a message of mine too. They auto sort by most recent date. So like even if I pin this, all right, let's pin an earlier one. If I pin this one, it shows up at the top versus like at the bottom. It's in order of chronological order rather than pin order. So pinned is first of all like if for convenience purposes, if I want to keep a chat just in the main dashboard at all times. And also, okay, I lied before. It's not an unlimited chat. It's 500 messages at a time. So it won't keep every single message forever. Only 500. I mean that's a lot. Just for like data purposes. Like I don't want to use up everything. So like let's say I have 500 messages, I send another one, that top 500th one gets cut, and then so on and so on and so on. However, if I pin a message, it always stays. So pin messages do not auto delete at all, ever. And also like this one, so if I right click it and I can unpin it, and I can also jump to the message, so I don't have to manually scroll. That's new. So pinned, yeah, this is pinned. It's super useful. I mean, this is honestly one of the main features about Arvis. Okay, so those are the two features that are new. On the UI facing side. Okay, so now let's showcase the memory a bit. All right, let's read some memories. Okay, so give me everything you have on the AARVIS context series. I'm butchering the spelling, but it's all right. In YouTube channel. There we go. Pause this, read it if you want. Yeah, so that, how does it know this? It pulled from the memory. And where did it pull from the memory? I give you logs. All right, so this is logs. I was going to show this a little bit later. I'll show this later. But right here, memories used, media YouTube context series. This is honestly the only MD file. MD is just marked down that he got. But that's the memory. Like that, it knows this from the vault. That's very new. The memory is complete. I won't tweak the memory at all unless just some miscellaneous stuff. But the memory is finally finished. So that is, very, very cool. And writing memory. Okay, let's ask him to write a memory. Now he's going to write this memory. So we just, did memory recall. Now we're doing memory writing. Okay, so we saved it. Well, I didn't tell him a path. That was a blunder on my part. Save under Toby/miss. Also, this is just a little miscellaneous thing. I added markdown, so if I hold Control B, it bolds it. You can also do italic. That's just miscellaneous. Okay, so saved vault memory core miscellaneous Toby. Let's open this memory file. Hold on 1 second. All right, so let me pull this up. There we go. He just saved this. This is the memory that he filed. Yeah, okay. So that is new. Memory recall, it says where, oh, that's not, there we go. That's the one we want. Reference, that's pretty cool. Yeah, so now this is the fun part, the logs. So, I was kind of waiting till I showed you this, but might as well show you now. So the logs is, before in video 2, I showed you guys like DevTools in Chrome, but this is honestly kind of a glorified DevTools just, in the AARVIS app. It shows the time for every message that AARVIS sends, just because I don't need to see what I send, just because I know it. It shows the time, AARVIS message, it's using the AARVIS API. This is the tokens, and this is if it's saved in memory. These 3 were yes, this one was no. And the same thing with this, we can jump to that message. Let's turn scroll lock on. And the memories used. So this is the memories that it uses every time. And it also gives you the memories that it's saved in a location. So this is super useful, just so I can see what's going on, every time AARVIS says something. And then let's quickly test the recall, make sure he saved it properly. Well, guess I gotta send it again because I exited the tab. My bad. And boom. And, this is, let's see in the logs. Yep, this is the one that it just saved. So he properly saved it and tagged it and used all the correct metadata. And behold. So I showed you the logs. I showed you I showed you most of this. Also, one other thing, there's a short-term conversation recall. So before it was all one-time API calls, but now it's like there's the long-term memory, which is all the stuff that's in the vault, and there's also a short-term memory, which pretty much keeps it's like a simple list of every chat. So if I just say, what did I just ask? It'll give me it. Because before it was almost like you're talking, see, it gave me it. It was almost like I'm talking to a wall with prior knowledge, but no conversation knowledge, if that makes sense. Like it was all just one time asked versus a continuous flowing conversation. But yeah, that's AARVIS. The demo was pretty short just because, what's been accomplished isn't very flashy. It's all very simple. It just took a lot in time. Okay. All right. So that's AARVIS. I didn't show, I've been holding the back a little bit just because I don't want to show everything quite yet. I'm saving that. But yeah, so what's next? Phase 3.5. It's pretty much just an expanded 3. It just phase 3 was already so massive. I just needed to split it into 2 chunks, and phase 4 is its own separate thing. So I couldn't, just put 3.5 into 4. 3.5 window controls are coming, so I'll be able to open logs and pin at the same time, multiple panels. Preview box expansion, the responding and online. Right now it's hard coded to online error and responding. Pretty much like, if he's responding, it shows responding. It's all hard coded. Next, it will dynamically update to whatever he's doing, controlled by AARVIS itself. So like, let's say he's reading the memory, it'll show reading memory in gray. Writing memory will show, writing memory. It's all dynamic versus, 3 hard-coded responses. Tools are coming, save to vault. That'll be a tool. Let's say I upload a file and it'll be, there's another tool. It's like summarize to AARVIS and it'll summarize the file, save it to vault if I automatically want to save it, but much more is still to come. Yeah, I mean, AARVIS started as, an idea in the notebook. Like this is the original sketch for AARVIS, as you can kind of see. You can kind of make it out. That's the chat window, that's the sidebar, that's the preview box, it started as a sketch in the notebook, and now he is, the world's first synthetic, sentient AI. Now he's a functioning machine with the world's first synthetic brain, which is crazy considering it just started from a sketch. And, this is still version 1. There's much more to come. This is truly just the start. But yeah, that's the update, and I'll see you in the next log.